So, there is a lot of debate out there about which type of condenser microphone sounds best on the mandolin. Some argue that small diaphragm mics are quicker to react to the percussive nature of the strings, while others say that large diaphragm mics, they add more body to the sound overall. And on top of that, you have solid state mics versus vacuum tube mics for another layer of complexity to consider. And if you're new to all of this microphone jargon, I know it can be a little confusing and even a little intimidating as you're trying to find the right microphone for your Mando needs. And you don't often have all of these high-end microphones together in one place so that you can take your mandolin and try them out side by side. That is, until the folks at Peluso Mics sent me all of these amazing microphones to try out on the mandolin for this video. And I'm so stoked. It's like we have a proper recording studio here at the house, and you'll want to be sure to stick around to the very end of the video to hear some fun, blind comparisons on all of these. I first heard about Peluso back in 2017 when an engineer friend of mine recommended that I use one of their mics on a solo album I was tracking in Nashville at the time. And I did, and you're actually hearing music from that project right now. It's an album called The Golden Angle, and you can listen more at the link below. But I've used Peluso mics on other projects since then as well, and I really like the tone. I think what makes their mic special is their founder John Peluso's lifetime of experience working with and repairing classic vintage microphones. Not to mention, all Peluso mics are built by hand, one component at a time, just by the 3 members of the Peluso team, which is pretty awesome. And I'm excited to hear what that attention to detail really sounds like in these different microphones. But before we dive in, while this video isn't sponsored, the folks at Peluso were very kind to offer a limited time discount to the viewers of the channel here. If you are interested in any of their microphones, be sure to contact them at the address below for more info. All right, first up in our comparison here, we have a small diaphragm condenser. This is the Peluso P84, and it's based off the original Neumann KM84s for the 1960s, which to this day are still the most beloved small diaphragm condensers of all time. And to get a little technical on the specs here, this P84 has an original style transformer that's built in the spirit of those early KM84s. And it has a cleaner sound than some of the more modern replicas that don't have transformers. The resulting sound is supposed to be more detailed without sounding harsh. I've got the cardioid capsules on here for this heart-shaped polar pattern pickup, and we'll use the same pattern on the other mics too. And I've got them plugged into an Apollo interface recorded with flat EQ, so hopefully with all that you can really zero in on the differences of the mics themselves. Next, we have a unique mic, all of John Peluso's making. This here is the Peluso P28. It's a hybrid blending of the 1950s era Neumann KM54 and the AKG C28 vacuum tube mic, with the added twist of a circuit blended with modern FET and a vintage tube, which results in less floor noise than a conventional vintage tube mic. To put it simply, this is another small diaphragm condenser with a cardioid pattern, but with the addition of that tube amplifier, there should be a warmer, more three-dimensional sound with this one. And lastly, for our comparison here, we have a large diaphragm microphone. This is a solid state mic, and it was based after the old AKG 414 condensers, which were a workhorse of a microphone. This is the Peluso version. It's the P414. This Peluso mic comes with a very even frequency range and has a shimmering high end like the original 414s were known for. And one of the major differences that you'll see in large diaphragms like this compared to the small diaphragms we've seen is the ability to be able to change the polar pattern with this onboard switch right here. So you can do cardioid, hypercardioid, omni, figure of 8, all really useful to help mitigate bad room acoustics. And here I'll be using the cardioid Let's see what it sounds like. So now that we have a feel for all of these mics individually, it's time to line them up side by side as close as possible and record some demos on them all simultaneously. That way we can hear the exact same performance on all 3 mics individually. And we'll start off by listening back with a blind comparison to remove any unwanted bias. Here we go. All right, before the grand reveal, why don't you pause the video here and let me know in the comments below which mic you think was which. And while you're down there, why don't you like and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. And when you're ready, let's listen to those demos again in the same order as before without the blind. Interesting, right? Can you hear the warmth of the tube? Can you hear the difference between the small diaphragm and the large diaphragm? Obviously, there are so many variables at play when you do a test like this. These mics are gonna sound different depending on what room you're in, how far away the mics are. It's gonna depend on the player and the mandolin too. And there might be some situations where you prefer one mic over the other, but I think they're all pretty fantastic. Which one do you think sounded best on this mandolin here? For me, I'm really digging the way that this P84 sounds, and currently I'm planning to use a stereo pair of these to record some tracks with my wife Tabitha for our project, The Foreign Landers. And when you start to mix in stereo miking with 2 mics, that is a whole nother layer of variables to consider with these microphones. And if you'd like to see how I mic the mandolin here at home, if you'd like to see more videos on recording tutorials and gear, please let me know in the comments below. And in the meantime, I really hope that this video was helpful for you too in your journey to find that right mic for you and your mandolin. And if you're interested, I really do like what Peluso does and definitely recommend you check out some of their microphones. Happy recording.